Hey, welcome back everybody to TechStrong TV. I'm Charlene O'Hanlon, Managing Editor at Media Ops, and I'm here now with James Smith, who is a co-founder and CEO of a company called Bugsnag. James, thanks so much for taking a few minutes and talking with me today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Charlene.
So tell me a little bit about Bugsnag.
So Bugsnag is a company that my co-founder Simon and I started about 7 years ago with the goal of helping product and engineering teams figure out when their software was broken, how badly it was broken, and more importantly, how to reproduce and fix the problems that people were seeing in their software. And when we started the company back in 2013, this wasn't something that was being solved by any of the providers or solutions out there. And so we were like, let's build this to scratch our own itch, as it were, and put it out to some of our peers and everyone's on. Over the past 7 years, we've been growing and building it into the business it is today.
All right, great. So what do you guys specifically kind of focus on when you're out there looking at all the development code and trying to figure out where the bugs are? Are there certain areas that you guys are focusing on?
Yeah, so we're really specialized on deployed applications. So this isn't a linting product. This isn't a pre-production testing suite. Okay. This is something that you use in a production or beta or alpha in customer code that's touching your customers. So I wish I was wearing my t-shirt today that says this, but we have a t-shirt we're at conferences that says not every bug is worth fixing. And when you're looking at these things in a pre-production environment, it's not necessarily clear how bad each of these problems or bugs are. You get these linting rules saying, oh, this is a code smell, or you get these test suites that run and say, this is a potential bug, which is great. Use that. That's a key signal in software development. But what we decided and realized was that when you scale up your software team and you have a lot of engineers working on a large scale application, the hardest thing to figure out is what bugs to fix first, because there's no way you can fix every single bug. So by being deployed in production, we can help you figure out which bugs your actual customers are seeing.
So that kind of goes against the grain of I guess, DevOps. If you think about the idea of being able to push out better quality code faster, but you're proposing that the code actually goes out bugs and all.
Yep, that's right. It's one of these things where this was happening already. And so I think that people like to think, we want to deploy and get as close to utopia as possible. Mm-hmm. But in reality, if you know this from being involved with any product or engineering team, especially at the end of a sprint, you have to make trade-offs. You have to figure out, do we ship this now to beat our competition to market, or because our customers really love this feature and want to use it with a few bugs out in production? Or do we wait for perfection and maybe never ship this thing? And so these were conversations that were happening since the dawn of software development. And it's just, we're in an era now where people are making data-driven decisions rather than product managers going, I think we're ready to go. And so we're trying to empower that revolution a little bit. And also, I think that they both work hand in hand. I think that the movement of DevOps on the left-hand side of the software development lifecycle, and the movement of stability management and monitoring of real production environments really are squeezing out that historical middle of software development, which was human-powered QA. And so quality is still important. We all still care about quality, mm-hmm. but QA as a manual thing is going away. So I think we meet in the middle, the production stability management and the DevOps and testing side on the left-hand side.
Okay, so stability management, yeah, you use that term a couple times in your last sentence there. So what is stability management then? And is that something that's interchangeable with application performance management?
So stability management is a term that, like candidly, we made up a few years ago and now has become adopted within our customer base and more broadly than that. And the reason that we started using this different term was that what we found was that our customers, and especially our largest customers, were using an APM product like a App Dynamics or a New Relic or any of the other providers out there alongside Bugsnag and investing a similar amount of funding and budget into a product like Bugsnag. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of intentional from day one. We built this product to service product and engineering teams rather than DevOps teams. Mm-hmm. The idea was that this was going to be a tool and a service and a platform for the people who are building the application rather than the people who are running the application. And that's become more of an important distinction over the past, especially 10 years, with the rise of mobile applications and mobile development, because the people who are building the application are the same people as the people who are running the application in the mobile side and on the client side of software development. So we basically decided, look, let's build a service that gives the builders the tools that they need, the daily dashboard for these product and engineering teams to kind of make that trade-off, as we were talking about earlier, between are we ready to ship now or do we need to invest more time in before hitting the go button? And that's not something that was provided and still isn't provided by the APM players who historically have come from the bottoms-up approach, starting at the infra layer, then building on visibility into how the application is performing when it's running, rather than is it delivering on what we decided it should deliver on as a product and engineering team? So that's kind of the audience difference that spurred us to build this. And it looks like most of our customers and the other competitors in the space are seeing the same thing. This is something tailored for those product and engineering teams.
Okay. All right. Great. So what about the security considerations related to this idea or this methodology? Because, as obviously, if bad code goes out or buggy code goes out in production, that can be a significant security vulnerability and just it could spell trouble for the company. So how do you guys address that? And if somebody questions the motives or the methodology?
Yeah, what I say a lot is that this approach isn't for every company. I think that there are we're not going to be deployed in a safety critical system that cannot be hot fixed and patched. Like Bugsnag is not running in satellites right now. Bugsnag is not running in medical pumps embedded firmware. There are situations where you're running in a safety critical environment or an environment where you cannot patch and fix after the fact, where you want to really, really be tightly locked down. But I think probably you're seeing these trends across the entire DevOps ecosystem, where people are not just rolling out 100% of their software to 100% of their code base at a time. Mm-hmm. You're doing phased releases, you're doing canary releases, you're doing A/B tests and experiments that you're turning on and off to a subset of your customer base. And so it can actually be a positive thing. If you say, roll out version 2.0 of your application with Bugsnag embedded and with your security monitoring tools embedded in there as well, to a 5% rollout, this can probably help you figure out an early warning indicator of any problems in your code, including security issues. And so it's a way of saying, look, we've done all of the testing we can ahead of time, but we know things will slip through. Just that's the nature of software development. And so if we do this in a considered way, in a phased rollout way, and use production awareness tools and stability management and your security suite as well, you can catch this before it becomes 100% rollout. And therefore, I think you get real signal from real customers without exposing yourself to that 100% risk.
Well, that makes a whole lot of sense, especially when you consider, that phased rollout approach, as you said. I'm kind of wondering, kind of pulling it together with our current kind of work from home situation and the fact that so many organizations have empowered their employees to work from home using a lot of cloud-based services and mobile apps and things of that nature. Are you seeing that the code that's coming out now, maybe as a result of the work from home directive or as the work from home directive is being implemented, is there a difference in the quality of the code that's coming out? Or do you guys have any stats on that?
We haven't really seen any differences on that. I do think people are having to adjust how frequently they're releasing as well. I think that we've seen a lot more companies adopting continuous deployment. When you're all sat around in the same room and around the same table in your weekly stand-up, it's a lot easier to align on when things are going to be ready to roll up into a single release. And so anecdotally, we are seeing people moving more towards continuous deployment, continuous delivery, and also kind of phase rollouts, as I was mentioning earlier, feature flagging and experiment rollouts, because it allows you as an individual then to roll out your changes in your code without being tied together with everyone else's code. So we haven't seen any changes in the number of bugs, but we have seen this spur a little bit of adoption of those technologies, which I think we're already accelerating anyway. One of the things I think we have seen as well in this new environment is the fact that people are relying a lot more on collaboration in your platforms that we're using to develop software. Again, you're not going to have that daily stand up around the whiteboard anymore. You're not going to be moving your post-its around, and so you're having to get a lot more, I think, disciplined around how you're using your Jira and your Trellos or whatever you're using for issue tracking and project management. But at the same time, you don't have your big screen that's got your network operations center behind you and showing you all of the issues that are showing up. So everyone who's building and running software is having to log on to these services on a regular basis to see how is my code running and how is my code performing. And that's having a great impact on the usage and the day-to-day active users on our platform, because that's how we're designing our product. It's meant to be this daily dashboard for the engineering and product teams. And so it's a forced adoption of that daily, exercising the muscle on a daily basis rather than relying on seeing that big screen up on the side of the office.
For sure. Yeah, I can imagine that it's definitely a different way of working for a lot of organizations, especially whose teams traditionally have been in the office. So interesting stuff. Well, James, thanks so much for walking me through the difference between APM and application stability monitoring or management. Good stuff. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, stick around. There's lots more TechStrong TV coming up, so stay tuned.